Okay, hey guys, James here again. So we're going to do a quick video on Mixolydian mode today. Now, I did a video previously on how to tie pentatonic modes, being the Mixolydian mode, and triads together. And I had a few people ask about, maybe going deeper into these. So I thought I'd start with the Mixolydian mode. Now, this sounds perfect for anyone who's just playing kind of, jammy stuff with their friends or a band. They've got to do a kind of blues rock thing. And they're just stuck in pentatonic world. So I thought this is if you're doing that and you think, how can I break out? How can I add a new sound to it? The Mixolydian mode is really goes really well with the pentatonics. And usually they're just combined, and it's this all Mixolydian pentatonic bluesiness. It's hard to tell where one ends and one starts. Now, before I go much further, the solo that I played at the beginning that you would have seen, now that's from a book that I've put together with kind of practice solos and solo pieces for all the modes. Now, that one is the Mixolydian Practice Solo, and I'm going to provide a link below where you can get the PDF so you can use that as to practice with, so to get the sound of the Mixolydian mode in our ears. Because it's one thing kind of learning these positions and knowing what it is. I've met people who really know this stuff inside out, but when it comes to, kind of playing in a musical way, or when to have to do a solo or improvise with it, it's a little bit clunky. And you'll probably hear me say this over and over again. We've got to train our ears for this stuff. We've got to get in our ears. It's all ears. Definitely position the hands and stuff as well. But we need to hear in these melodies, hear the sound of the mode. To really help us play it a lot more musically, I think. So click the link in below and download the PDF. It'll also have a couple of the scale positions that we're going to go over soon as well. So scale positions and the practice solo transcription there. So rewind the video and try playing along with it, see if you can nail the solo, or play with it very freely. It's in the key of G, and I'm just playing a pretty simple G little riff, a dominant seventh thing, which goes like this. You could play something even simpler, just like a G chord or a G power chord. Anything at all. Put in a looper and try playing that solo. So having it there, you'll kind of know how it goes. Okay, so today we're going to do this in three ways. We're going to do a brief understanding the Mixolydian mode, so where it comes from and the intervals. Then we'll do the two scale positions. We're going to do it in all in G, top string, 3rd fret, and we're going to do 10th fret G on the A string. So two positions, one low, one high, which will be really good to get us going. And then we'll learn like a lick in each of those positions. Pretty small lick, just to kind of get our hands and ears going to know what intervals to land on to bring the Mixolydian sound out. So let's get that going. So we're going to start by understanding a bit of the Mixolydian mode. So let's do that now. Okay, so Mixolydian mode is the 5th mode of the major scale. Now, if you're kind of new to all this stuff, it can be a little bit confusing. I might need to go deeper just in the modes later on. But for now, let's kind of compare it to a major scale. So major scale is, now those intervals are root, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, and this is the big one, major 7th. Major scale has a major 7th. Mixolydian mode has a minor 7th. The exact same thing, except it's got one note change. So the major scale one more time. Then flattening that note to make it Mixolydian, which is the 7th down to a minor 7th. If I just compare one more time, major 7. Then Mixolydian. And the Mixolydian mode is kind of like where we get a lot of these kind of like happy blues sounds. I always kind of refer to it as happy or bright blues, So it's the 5th mode of the major scale, and that major scale being C major in this case. So if you already kind of know all the positions for C major or all the positions for A minor, natural minor, G Mixolydian is the same set of notes. So it's just G to G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's a good one to kind of know as well. So that's a little bit of the makeup of it. Really good to know those intervals as well. The flat 7 to the major 6, and the 4 perfect fourth to the 3rd really, to me, brings out that sound. Okay, now let's look at the scale positions, one for E string and one for A string. Okay, so let's do one starting on the 3rd fret, and now we're going to do G to G. Now I'll just go through this kind of slowly. We've got G to A on top string, then B, C, D on the A string, then E, F, G on the D string, A, B, C on the G string, D, E, F on the B string, and then we'll go up to A on the bottom string, so G and A. Go back to the root. Okay, I'll do it a couple more times slow just so you can get used to it. So it's going to sound like this. All right, and then we'll do the A string one. So up at the 10th fret is G, and we're going to do, the first 3 strings are kind of the same shape as we just did. Okay, so we've got G to A on the 10th fret. Now the next 2 strings are 9th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret on both the middle 2 strings. Then 10th fret, 12th fret, 13th fret on the bottom 2 strings. So one more time from the A string root on G. So I might just play those together a little bit so you can kind of hear them kind of work together. I think it's cool having a low one so you can get familiar with that than having a higher one as well. Now, also when you're going through these, you know, start on the first note and kind of tell yourself in your head like root, major 2nd, perfect, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, minor 7, and a kind of octave, and you can kind of keep going. Up to the 9th, you know. I think it's really important to know these intervals, and if you're going to be learning the scales, it's just kind of like adding a bit more depth to it instead of just going, oh, 10th fret, 12th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret. I've ran into this recently as well with some students. The other side of that is knowing the note names, which I'm not too sure how common this is, but maybe I could go and do a video on that as well. Really nail the note names, you know. Like, because we could know this position in a couple of different ways. The note names or the intervals. So I could know it goes G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I know where those note names are. Or I know it's through intervals. So I know it's root, major 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, major 6, flat 7, octave. That's really helpful because if I know that it's got a flat 7, I'll never really accidentally go, kind of guess where that note is. I know that's a flat 7 because I know the interval, so I know the scale has to have that note. So let's just quickly play through those 2 positions. So, you know, hopefully that's pretty clear. And again, those two positions are in the PDF that I've attached in the link in the description. So I've set them up pretty big, nice and clear. So give those a go, and I think they're a great place to start to kind of get the notes at least under our fingers. Now, having the notes is one thing. Now we want to have some material to bring out the sound of these notes, or sound of the modes, the sound of the positions. And that's why I've kind of put the practice solo in the beginning. But now we're going to learn a couple of the small licks in these positions, so we can kind of just have something else to do instead of going up and down. Okay, so let's have a look at a couple of licks. So first one down here in the lower one. Now we're going to do this, I'll play what this one sounds like. So it's going to go. An arpeggio, and it's kind of all pretty much hammer-on based. I feel like this one sounds awesome. It hits all the notes of the Mixolydian mode and lands on the major third, which differentiates it from the minor pentatonics. So you're adding a major third in there. So let's do that. Go through that. So it's 2nd fret to 5th fret on the A string, hammer on. 3rd fret to 5th fret on the D string. Then 4th fret to 5th fret on the G string. Then 3rd to 6th fret on the B string. And when we get there, we're going to do those same notes but in reverse, but as a pull-off. Then back up to the G string for 5th fret to 4th fret pull-off. So that sounds like this. Oh, you got it. So take that really slow, and you could even play this in a few different positions. It's actually, this is starting on the major third of the chord. So if I took it up to say C, I could go to A. Now in the G, I reckon, with any of these licks, you want to play into them and kind of play out of them. So I can kind of go maybe some Mixolydian pentatonic stuff, then I'll insert that. Just kind of freely. I find that pretty easy to kind of play kind of quickish as well. Nice little hammer onto it. All right, so that's the first one. So give that a go. And then up here, we're just going to do something like kind of around that kind of idea. I reckon like. Play something like that in the practice solo, I think. So let's go 10th fret on the bottom string up to 13th fret. Now we're going to do like a kind of a bar and hammer onto the 12th fret onto the B string. So I'm barring both 10th frets on the bottom two strings and hammering onto the B string on the 12th. But I'm hitting both strings, so it sounds like a little chord. So barring the 10th. But as I do that, I hammer onto the 12th fret on the B string. So, but it's kind of pretty instant. It's just like, so, and then upper string the 12th, upper string the 12th, down a string the 10th. Now, that last note I landed on, try to have a guess like what that interval is, what we're landing on. To me, it's very Mixolydian-y kind of sounding. I've already heard the major third in that position. And then I'm going. Just with any of these, try to start thinking about, okay, that's a third, it's fourth, I'm coming down from the fifth. Actually, I'm coming down from the fifth there. That's the fifth. Okay, so sounds really cool. Now I can be up in that position kind of soloing. Like I said, trying to go in and out of it kind of thing. Okay, so one more time, those two licks, low one. All right, so, and when you're trying to insert these new sounds into your playing, you really got to push them in there. So when you're jamming or practicing at home, don't just try not to lean back and fall back into the, okay, I'll just do my normal stuff, pentatonics up and down, whatever. Really think, okay, I got that new lick that I practiced from that video the other day. I put that in there. Let's see if I remember that. And you really, most days when you're practicing or something, really try to remember that you've got to put it in there, and it becomes a new pathway that you're going to utilize. So try not to just go. Just your pentatonic stuff. That's cool. But then try to think, kind of went back into pentatonic there at the end. Same with this one. And that one kind of overlaps into in our pentatonic position anyway. Okay, so a little bit of a brief thing on the makeup of the Mixolydian mode and the scale positions. Get those down. They're a really good place to start. Eventually you'll want to be able to play across the neck and everything, but that can be a daunting process. It takes a long time. So just even pick one and just start practicing it each day. That's your new little thing that you're trying to add into your playing. You got to, like I said with the licks, you got to push these things into our playing and remember, and don't just go, oh yeah, that was a cool idea, and I've totally forgotten it. And be aware of it. Be like aware, like I am working on Mixolydian mode. I know what the Mixolydian mode is now. You're adding not just a finger little thing like a lick or something. You're kind of just gaining a bit more knowledge, being a bit more switched on with your playing, especially into kind of just bluesy kind of rock stuff. Now this can be used in a lot of other ways, but this is a good place to start. I reckon it'd be cool to do a video on trying to do Mixolydian where it doesn't sound bluesy at all. It can be very atmospheric and especially with the sus chords, if I'm doing this kind of sound. Having the harmony kind of not sound so bluesy and a bit more open, it can be a very cool sound. Yeah, so give all this a go, and if you find it helpful, let me know. If you're struggling with something, put a comment below and I'll check it out and I'll see if I can sort it out for next time. And give the Practice Solo at the beginning a go. Download the PDF today, and yeah, give that a go. And hopefully it improves kind of awareness of some of these new sounds. All right, so hopefully that's all helpful, and I shall see you next time. Okay, thank you. Bye.